Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I am Jason.
Today Jason and I are going to tell you how we felt about the new LEGO Aquaman movie, the latest in the LEGO Justice League direct-to-video movies. We're also going to later on in the program talk to you a little bit about Kung Fu Panda, which was requested to us by David Crabtree, and also the Irish film Song of the Sea, requested by Neil McCalmont. And we're also finally going to talk about the anime Sonic the Hedgehog movie from 1999, which I was not familiar with, and is an odd hedgehog, an odd bird, and we'll talk about that later. So look forward to that. Right now, let's dive into Aquaman, LEGO Aquaman, Rage of Atlantis. Jason?
No, it's LEGO 70s Aquaman.
LEGO 70s Aquaman?
Yeah, they make it like the 70s Aquaman.
You mean just in his look?
And, well, and look what it does. He does that thing, like he does in the Justice League in the 70s.
He does what thing? I don't know what you're talking about.
He calls the animals and does that.
Right.
Yeah.
With his sonar?
Yeah.
And it goes out with the same sound effect?
Yeah.
It's like, that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, and everyone calls him Aquaman.
Aquaman. They have a lot of fun with that, and with kind of assumptions people make about that character, and kind of old stereotypes and things. No, it's a lot of fun. So why don't you, I tell you what, I'll have you talk a little bit about the plot of this movie right after I say this. So this is the, I think, 5th or 6th of these. So we had like 3 or 4 like straight up LEGO Justice League movies. I'm actually losing track now. I think it was 4. And then there's LEGO Flash, and now LEGO Aquaman. And the Flash and Aquaman movies are both essentially just more Justice League movies, but centered more on a particular character. The Flash movie, I thought, kind of less so. It took a little bit too long before that became a Flash movie. This is pretty much straight up an Aquaman movie. But with the Red Lanterns as the villains, which is an interesting and curious choice. And that's the reason it's called Rage of Atlantis. The Red Lanterns show up and feed off of the rage of the Atlanteans, which is odd. You know, I wonder if at some point we'll get a straight-up Green Lantern movie with this, but I kind of suspect not, actually, because we also introduced Jessica Cruz in this as the new Green Lantern for the Justice League.
Yeah, it came with a minifigure.
Yeah, which is always cool.
There's a box that comes
most of these, I think all of these actually have come with a minifig if you buy the deluxe edition. And I've done that with each of the. I say deluxe. I think they kind of. Well, that's going to be blurry, kid. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, I say deluxe edition. Maybe that's actually the only way you can buy these. I bought them all that way, and I don't always buy things with the action figures. So anyway, I digress. But yeah, given that. Because I just thought of this, given that they felt the need to introduce a new Green Lantern here for New Blood, and it's the Red Lanterns, maybe there's no plans, maybe there are no plans to do that, and they're just doing characters that are already popular in other media. So we did Flash because the Flash TV show is popular, and because the Justice League movie was coming out and that has Flash in it, and we did Aquaman because, of course, his live-action movie is coming out later this year. It'll be interesting to see if they do
with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Me with a different last name.
Interesting if they feel the need to do a Shazam one of these.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Before that comes out. But anyway, so Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit of the plot of Aquaman Rage of Atlantis? You don't have to go beat for beat, but just tell us kind of what the story's about, what we do with it.
Wasn't the Atom in the Flash one?
I think he was. Yeah, he was.
Why isn't the Atom in this one?
Is he not in this anywhere?
No.
Well, maybe he's like more of an auxiliary Justice League character.
Auxiliary mode.
But anyway, why don't you talk about this a little bit?
Okay, so this movie is about Aquaman. And King of Atlantis. And he actually says, I am Aquaman, King of Atlantis. And I think that's just hilarious.
So what happens in this movie, Jason?
Well, what happens is, Aquaman... no, I'm just calling him. Aquaman's half-brother Orm, I forget what is...
Are you, what, Ocean Master?
The Ocean Master.
You just reading the back of the box? You're just going to read the back of the box?
No.
Okay.
His half-brother Orm, who is the Ocean Master, wants to be king. And how he does that is he writes a rule in the rules to be king. So,
no, that's not true. I think the rule was already there. He found a loophole in the rules as they were, if I'm remembering this right. The idea was, not to interrupt you, but I don't think that's accurate. I think the idea is you have to be full-blooded Atlantean in order to be the king of Atlantis, and Aquaman is of both worlds, of course. This is pretty faithful to standard Aquaman mythology, while it's a comedy and a farce, and it's doing some silly stuff too. And there's actually a story here, and all of these there's to varying levels, you know, really a story here and actually a character arc. And this one I think is kind of as far as that goes, in the middle of the road for these. I think this is probably the third or fourth best of these, but they're all quite good. Anyway, but the idea is that that he's not full-blooded, so he can't be king of Atlantis.
Yeah. And
we won't give away what it is, but there's a thing at the end where he's able to get around that pretty easily. But anyway, that's the rule.
So...
And so Ohm takes over with a little bit of help from Atrocitus.
Yeah, Atrocitus, who makes everyone not like Aquaman.
By tapping into their rage.
Yeah, and then, well, not his wife at first, and then later she becomes evil.
Yeah, right, Mira?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know why, I kinda don't like this, but, but Robin and Batgirl have a little scene.
Yeah.
And I really...
No, they're kind of helpful for the third act, yeah.
Yeah, and I really don't like a whole running joke with Robin.
Yeah.
And then it goes on even while he's fighting.
I forgot all about that. No, you're right, it's not great. But yeah, they bring them in because the Justice League get taken out of commission. At least some of them with Atrocitus. But it's been a couple weeks since we watched this. But anyway, and Atrocitus has a big plot to get rid of all the water on the planet with a giant straw. Which is just absolutely fantastic and hysterical.
Yeah.
So character-wise, this story is all about Aquaman's insecurities about his limited power set, and they kind of they make fun of that a lot. And they talk a lot about how Aquaman is very powerful and useful, but he has a really specific power set that doesn't come up all the time, and it's gotten kind of outdated, and I think it's going to get really outmoded after the Aquaman movie, if it's as good as it looks like it might be, to make fun of Aquaman for his reputation and how people don't take him seriously because he talks to fish and he's just a water guy, and how often are you going to use them? So this is about Aquaman kind of listening too much to the haters, kind of, and he's not like pathetic or sad. It's just, and in fact, he tries to act like mighty and like and kingly, but he also kind of ends up acting kind of incompetent because that's what's expected of him. And that's the thing that resonated with me most about this on a story level. I mean, obviously it's mostly here as just a fun comedy, but there's a decent character arc there. My only complaint with that is we act like Aquaman is responsible for certain things that kind of happen despite him, that are out of his control, and actually there are bad things that he allegedly does, and good things he allegedly does, that sort of just happen because the script needs it to, and that don't actually feel like him driving the story. And that's my biggest issue with Aquaman in this. But one of the but anyway, so that's what the story is mainly about.
Yeah.
One of the go ahead.
Oh, You can go.
One of the most fun things about this, I think, is how it kind of draws the curtain back for DC Universe and like broadens it out and goes different places and tries different things. So and these have been really good about that. In this one, by the way, this is also the least Batman centric these have ever been. Which is nice, but also is starting to become kind of a trend with DC. We're either realizing we don't need to rely on Batman, or we're worried that we shouldn't rely on Batman because the last couple things with Batman on the big screen have not been popular. So I'm not sure which of those we're doing, but it's making for some cool things like this. So that's a good thing potentially. But anyway, that's a good thing for this. But anyway, so we're talking about how, you know, the Earth is like mostly water, but we're acting like this guy's power set is really, really limited. And of course, for us land dwellers, it doesn't come up that much. But in fact, if you really want to take over the world, you're taking over a place that is like 70-something% water, right? So it's kind of fun that it's about that. But not only are we on land and sea, but we're also in air and space, and we deal with Lobo, and we do intergalactic
Lego
stuff.
Lobo.
Yeah, and so the scale of this is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that they have Lego Lobo.
Yeah, it's great.
I wish that was the exclusive minifigure.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I thought you were gonna say, I wish that was the title of the film. I wish it was a Lego Lobo film. I thought that was what you were gonna say.
Yeah, no. It should have came with a Lobo. Maybe it does that in a different country, and then in another country it also has Aquaman, and then
yeah, it is weird that
Aquaman.
And I guess we've always done this where we go for a more obscure character that you get the minifig for, because they could have just done an Aquaman, and it's weird that this being a Lego Aquaman thing, you didn't get the Aquaman, but then there are probably more Aquaman minifigs running around already than there would be Jessica Cruz. So she's here because we want to broaden this out some and deal with space stuff, but also she ends up being a decent comparison character for Aquaman. We do a parallel thing with them that's all about insecurity and you know, having the right attitude and learning to trust yourself, and it's kind of a self-esteem thing. In fact, some of that has a little bit to do with Kung Fu Panda, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I have found her kind of irritating in the comics and liked her okay in this. So yes, I will go on record. Ring. You don't like a ring?
Yeah.
Oh no, the ring is hilarious!
No, the ring is hilarious!
Well, why do you hate it?
No, I
thought you said you hate her ring.
I hate her ring, and then I love her ring. And then sometimes I hate her ring, and sometimes I love her ring, and it's funny.
Anyway, no, the ring is hilarious because it's constantly like dogging on her for being incompetent and having self-esteem issues, and it's like this negative reinforcement thing. It's really amusing where her ring, it has this really pretentious British female accent that is constantly telling her that she's not doing good enough, and is like, apparently they grade you on your performance and you have lantern points, and so the ring takes away lantern points when she's not doing a good enough job. And it's just really funny to hear her constantly being berated by her ring. That was a running gag I liked a lot, and pays off really well. They reconcile eventually, Jessica Cruz and her ring. But yes, I will go on record to say that I like the Lego Jessica Cruz better than I have ever liked that character. And but no, that was fun. And like I said, we actually do some nice character parallel stuff with her and Aquaman, which we don't do a ton of with these movies. So anyway, I was really happy with this one. I thought it was pretty good, and I think it's better than the last one, maybe.
Can I talk about the Seagate?
You can talk about whatever you want to. Oh, the Seagate! Yes, go ahead!
Yeah, so, for those of you who know about a Stargate, there is a Seagate that is a Stargate from Stargate that is a Seagate?
It's hilarious. And they're clearly just doing a parody of Stargate.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that makes me wonder sometimes who this is for, because most kids that get this, and kids your age, Jason, are not going to know about Stargate. But, yeah. But you've seen some Stargate. That whole thing was hilarious.
Yeah. I've seen a show about Stargate.
Yeah, yeah. I've shown you a few episodes of that. Some SG-1. But anyway.
Some SG-1, yeah.
So what do you think, Jason? Did you like this one?
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and flip our signs, man. We are both feeling it on this one. Obviously, these are all really easy to jump into, even if you haven't seen the ones from before. And I still implore adult superhero comic book fans who don't mind comedic superhero storytelling to check these out, because they're not just kiddie fare, and they're, of course, very kid-friendly, but there are definitely things here for the adults in the audience. And Lobo is most certainly one of those things. You want to go ahead and move on? Okay, we're going to talk now, once again, thanks to David Crabtree for recommending this, we're going to talk about Kung Fu Panda, which is a movie that I have meant to see for years and years. And in fact, Jason, my stepdad, the Jeff, here on the channel, has been trying to get me to watch this forever, and he's seen all of these and likes them a lot. I avoided this back when it came out because I didn't like the DreamWorks company from other things they put out in the past. I've never liked the Shrek movies. I just didn't care. I just wasn't interested.
Shrek movies?
Shrek.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just never bothered with this, and it's weird that it's taken me as long as it has to finally sit down and watch this. Like, it took somebody recommending it, because I have kind of come to fall in love with Jack Black and his performances. I just really like him, and he is, of course, Po the Panda in this. The first criticism I'll lob at it before we jump into it, just because this is on my mind, is, I think Jack Black is great, and this, performance wouldn't have been the same, obviously, without him, but also, I don't know that the character would have even been written the same. It really feels like we know it's Jack Black, and that we have Jack Black, and that's why we're writing this character that way.
I didn't even know that it was Jack Black.
Yeah, it's Jack Black. And it's, and so that works, and that's great. There are a lot of celebrity voiceovers in this that did not need to be those celebrities, and that I didn't even notice. And I guess, in some ways, maybe it's a good thing when you don't notice a celebrity voiceover too much, because it doesn't take you out and it's not intrusive. On the other hand, a lot of these want, like, standout performances where I was like, it just seems like, some of the celebrity talent was kind of wasted, and it didn't matter it was them, and we could have just cast, good working voice actors that maybe need work. That's kind of the only complaint I want to lob at voice acting.
Yeah.
All the voice acting is solid in this. It's quite good, but, like, we got Jackie Chan for 2 lines. I think that's really weird. So, anyway, Jason, let's talk a little bit about Kung Fu Panda. What did you think about this movie?
That movie was pretty funny and pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really like this movie. I think it's funny how, a panda, there's, like, a whole thing where, like, you just have to believe that it's there. It's not actually...
Yeah, that's kind of the motif of the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
excuse me, that's kind of
there is no
lesson,
secret ingredient.
No secret ingredient. Yeah, the lesson of this story is have like I was talking about with Aquaman, have the right attitude, believe in yourself. There's not some kind of magic thing, secret sauce that will make things go right for you. And this is one of, for kids, the better believe in yourself messages I've seen, where it doesn't feel like a fortune cookie. It doesn't feel like just an easy thing that that we're lobbing at kids without any substance behind it. And that's kind of the, I don't want to throw Disney under the bus, because some of those are good, but it's kind of the cliche standard Disney thing to do, where at the end of the day, it's a really generic message of just believe in yourself and everything will work out. And it's like, yeah, but don't you need skills, and don't you need to, like, get good at things, and, like, success is more than just, I'm sure I can do it. So, like, there's all kinds of things that I'm terrible at that I'm not going to suddenly be great at just because I believe in myself, but that's not what the message of this is. That's not what this is saying. This is about a character who is not sure of himself with things he actually is already good at. And one of the things I really appreciate is, and that we get a lot of comedy mileage out of, is that we're not doing the planes thing, Disney's Planes. That would be an example of a Disney movie that does that, where we're saying that no matter how no matter what you were given when you were born, you're capable of anything. Like, you don't have limitations. So this guy, Po, wants to be a Kung Fu master. He wants to be the Kung Fu master. And it ultimately is sort of his destiny to do that, but not in the standard, not in the standard kind of way. So, like, he has to use the assets that he has already.
Yeah.
And he's not gonna do kung fu in like the normal. He's not gonna do normal martial arts. He's not good at that, so he figures out another way around it, and he uses the skill set that he has already. This is about following your dreams, but in a somewhat realistic way. And it's also one of the better Destiny movies I've seen for kids, weirdly, because it's also not necessarily saying that things always work out okay if you just like give yourself to the universe, and like if you're the protagonist of your own story, the universe is going to coalesce to your will. The movie isn't saying that that you don't have to try and you don't have to do anything to make to make your dreams come true. Poe has to work really hard, right? I mean, there's a lot that he has to do, and it seems impossible, and it seems unlikely that he'll manage his goals. But and also when I say like he is destined to do that, it's because he wants it that bad, not because and because there is something in him that makes it ultimately make sense that he gets to you know, be the Kung Fu master. At the end of the day, it's not that and this is what I hate about a lot of Destiny message movies, and that's why I'm harping on this so hard. It's not that we're all just pieces on a playing on a game board being moved around. It's actions and consequences, and I like that a lot. This movie has a really great affinity for kung fu movies, and it's not just a farce. Like it's funny. Yeah. And there's a lot of pratfall humor. Yeah. But it also is pretty stylish for what it is.
Yeah, I really like the scene where he's walking through the halls of all of the, you know, the Fiercest Five's rooms, and then everyone is just like, why are you here? Why do you want to be in Kung Fu?
Yeah, you don't belong here. Yeah. And he has to prove himself, certainly.
And then he does.
I won't say that I actually teared up. I nearly teared up in a couple places in this movie. It's that good. And in particular, just because sometimes I just get impressed with storytelling because of what I do. And I really liked that it actually got me to a place where I bought this guy doing Kung Fu. And the relationship that he has with his sensei is really well developed. I thought that was maybe going to be irritating, and like he was just going to kind of accidentally get everything that he wants, and he doesn't do that. The sensei guy is a really complex character. He's not yet gotten to the place where the wise turtle that taught him, and the turtle, by the way, is awesome. Yeah. I like him so much, and am really impressed that the movie gives him actually wise things to say, and not just rhetorical nonsense. He says things like, I'm not going to get this word for word, but he's talking about the present versus the past and future, and he says that the past is behind us, and the future is a mystery, but the present is a gift, and that's why we call it the present. I don't know if this movie made that up or if it took that from someplace, but he says actually wise things like that, which I like a lot. I was also really impressed with the fact that this is almost a dual protagonist story with Po and his sensei, where his sensei is not quite wise yet because he has to get over some personal hurdles and some mistakes he's made. Like, there's kind of a redemption story with him where he kind of created the villain. The villain actually is relatively terrifying, which, like, he's not actually scary, but in this context, he's pretty menacing. It's really cool. And the scene where he gets out of the prison and everything, he's real Bane-like. Like, he's great.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that Luke Skywalker Last Jedi thing where he creates his worst enemy and the big bad guy in attempting to create a hero. Mm-hmm. And he feels responsible for that, and so he's making a lot of mistakes because of that. Like, he's not able to develop the wisdom that he should. And through training Po, he finally learns it. And I was really impressed with that. But the scene that I kind of almost teared up at, Jason, was when they are fighting over the dumpling. That action scene, because there's so much, like, emotional weight and heart behind it, it's great. It's powerful. It's also very funny. But it's a wonderfully powerful scene. And I think the whole movie's worth watching just for that. I think it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. This movie has a really singular sense of humor. And it's really smart about stuff. Like, it will set up jokes that you don't even know if it's setting up or not. Like, you think it is, but you're not sure, and then pay them off later. Like, the minor spoiler thing, I'm sure most people have seen this movie, but and this has been around a long time. His dad is a bird, Poe's dad. And the whole movie, I'm going, well, how does that work? Like, is he adopted? What's the deal? And it's not until the third act when finally Po says, sometimes I wonder how you could possibly be my dad. And I love that. That's hilarious. That we finally acknowledge it like that, and then we just move on. And the humor is, in some places, surprisingly sophisticated. In a couple of places, it starts to verge closer to potty humor, which I don't love, but it stays relatively classy throughout. So that's great. But I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, who's Jackie Chan again?
Yeah, Jackie Chan is the monkey. Just doesn't get a lot of lines. Kind of doesn't matter that it's him. But yeah, the Fearsome Five are cool. We don't get a whole lot with them. I suspect the sequels probably flesh them more out. And if memory serves, I think they get a TV show, too.
Oh.
I know there was a cartoon of this that wasn't called Kung Fu Panda. I think maybe it was Fearsome Five. But yeah, I don't know a ton about this property. This is the first time I've looked into it at all. But I am very intrigued to look more into this and see the next couple of movies. What else should we talk about this, Jason?
I don't know. I don't know why people think that Po can't learn Kung Fu because he's too fat and big.
Yeah. Well, it's because a lot of the standard moves that you would need to be able to do would be difficult at that weight, but also because you're supposed to be stealthy. And how is he supposed to be stealthy if he's huge? And even if he could learn Kung Fu, the question is, why is he the chosen one over any of them who have been training their whole lives for this? Mm-hmm. You know, is kind of the idea. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I guess the answer to that is just somebody needed to learn this lesson. Like, I think the other five aren't able to take the villain on, kind of because the script needs them not to. It sort of seems to me. But I don't know, in the moment it really wins me over. There's some of that I feel like maybe I shouldn't buy at the end, but I do. And I mean, I've watched this once, and again, it was a couple weeks ago, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I'm definitely feeling it.
And me too.
On
and I don't
Kung Fu Panda.
And I'm not saying anything about it because I don't, I like lots of things about it. I like all of the things about it.
You like all the things about
Yes.
it? Yeah. What was your favorite scene? I'm sorry, I know I was talking a lot, but I wanted to get into some of the thematic and character stuff.
I think...
Because mine is definitely the dumpling fight.
I think mine too.
That is one of the coolest scenes in an animated movie I've probably ever seen.
Yeah. I think mine too.
Are you ready to move on?
Mm-hmm. Let's do the Sonic movie.
We're going to do Song of the Sea first.
Okay.
So this Song of the Sea, this was recommended to us by Neil McCalmont. Thanks so much, Neil. Neil, Jason, gives me a lot of obscure stuff that I've never heard of. And this is kind of no exception, although this is probably not as obscure overseas and really shouldn't be here. This was a horse of a different color. I've not had a lot of experiences like this. This comes out in 2014, and I think is an instant classic. This feels like, except for some of the animation techniques they're using, which are wonderful and brilliant and breathtaking, and lots of other words that would give this accolades that begin with a B. This movie could have been written in at any time. This decades ago, last Thursday. This could have been made any time. Again, with the exception of the really impressive kind of multimedia-looking anyway animation that we have here. This looks like a storybook come to life in the kind of storybooks that take a lot of like physical media and mix it with 2D art. A lot of this looks kind of like it was made with like construction paper and cardboard and that kind of thing, and blended all together to create this this really beautiful aesthetic.
I forget, is Shisa the main character? Do you think?
No, I'd say the little boy is. I mean, he's the one with the real character arc.
Right. I just don't know because I think I thought that she was one because she was the main character because she was there was a whole angel thing with her, and
sure, she's really important, obviously, and is kind of the main. I mean, I hesitate to say plot device. She's kind of the MacGuffin of the movie at the same time as certainly being a likable and worthwhile character. So this is an Irish movie that is based in Irish folklore, Irish mythology, of which I know nothing about, and felt like I was learning a lot about as I watched this movie. I've not done any research. We just watched this a couple days ago, and I felt like I learned a lot about Irish folklore through this, but then wasn't completely sure how much I actually learned, just because I don't know, anything about that mythology. So I don't know how much of this was made up and how much of it already, pre-existed. And it looks like there's maybe an explanation for, like a folklore explanation for the Aurora Borealis at the end of this. I'm not totally sure if that's what we're doing, but it kind of looks like it. So, Jason, just partly because I think it would be really amusing to see how well you break this down, can you tell us a little bit about what this movie's about?
Can
you do it? Is that a challenge?
Yes.
A little bit of a challenge?
Yeah, so, I don't even remember what the first scene is.
Well, let's start. So I'll help you out, okay? So we'll start toward the beginning. So this little boy has a new baby sister, who at the beginning of the movie is born, but under mysterious circumstances where her mother, and we don't find out a lot of the details of this until later in the film, but the mother kind of runs out into the sea, and then this baby appears, and the mother is nowhere to be found, and we think maybe died in childbirth is kind of the sense. And so
she didn't.
It's this really sad and tragic story about this father who's raising his kids on his own and has kind of given up on life, it seems, and they live kind of secluded at this lighthouse, and their grandmother ends up taking them away from the father and leaving him there without them, and they lose their dog, and they just want to get back to their dog. So they run away from the grandmother, and they try to get back to the lighthouse so that they can get back to their dog. And we end up discovering that the little girl is at least partially a magical creature who, when she has a special coat, she is able to transform into a seal. And there's this wonderfully interesting and gripping mythology about these kind of godlike creatures that were transformed a long time ago by a character we think is evil and turns out to be surprisingly sympathetic, who transforms where everyone. Well, no, I'm sorry, I'm conflating a couple of things. There is that character, but there's also this other mythological creature who creates a flood at one point, and with his tears, and a bunch of people get turned into stone. Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, so isn't
that the owl guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it a she?
Well, yeah, so I forget. Did she turn everyone into stone? Is that the idea?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I was right about that in the first place. I couldn't remember if that was connected to the man of the sea who floods everything. Okay, those are separate things. Anyway, so thematically, the crux of this is kind of about figuring out what to do with your emotions and not burying them, and understanding how important it is to feel your feelings. And I think that's a really poignant message, and I think it was handled really well here. The main villain of this piece, who again ends up being surprisingly, if not redeemed, I appreciate her. She thinks she's helping people by capturing their feelings and stealing them and making it so that they don't have to feel what they feel. And there's an almost nightmarish sequence with her about that. That is really surreal and poignant all at the same time. And I think the best animation is in that scene. It's really cool. But no, it's a really neat movie about again, about learning to feel your feelings, about coping with loss, about mortality, and even the characters who are immortal have limitations, and kind of tragic ones. I like the like I said, I like all the mythology about this, and
me too.
The rules are kind of interesting. But yeah, again, I'm talking a long time, but this seems like a difficult thing to talk about, so sorry, I kind of just took over the synopsis, but...
Well, and I have no idea about mythology and everything.
But did it make you want to look into it? Because it did me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it made me want to know more about that Irish mythology.
Yeah. I want to know if there will ever be a sequel or something.
You know what, I think you could do maybe another story in that world, but it stands alone wonderfully. It is, like I say, it's a really good folktale movie, and it has a brilliant score.
Yes.
The Song of the Sea is an important plot point, and is also really is also a melody that's impressively constructed, because it's a little bit like the Picard Inner Light theme in TNG, where it's constantly, that's a little bit more intricate, but it's constantly repeated, and it doesn't get old, and I don't get tired of it, which is really impressive. Because we have to use it constantly. She's got that seashell where she has to play that song in order to
get the animals to come.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and well, even when she's not playing the flute, the fireflies are still there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of look like fireflies. They're actually not fireflies, but...
Are they just lights or something?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I wasn't totally sure if they were supposed to be like spirits of people, and yeah, I guess, I don't know how much of a criticism this is. There are certain things about this where I'm not completely sure what's going on, and I really want to give it another viewing. But I loved the way I felt while I was watching it. I did care about these characters. I get the basic crux and of the story and the message of it. But it's one of those movies that's kind of impressive in that it's about the experience and how it makes you feel as much as it's about actually telling a story. But it does tell a story. Mm-hmm. It's a very heightened, again, kind of storybook story that doesn't shy away from any of that, and the the character stuff is really real.
Yeah.
There's some real raw emotion in this. Mm. And they also do a really good job of making the little boy, because we haven't talked about him much, and it's kind of his story. He has to come
there's not much to say about him.
No, that's not true. He has to come to appreciate his sister.
Yeah, he's really mad at his sister.
Yeah, and it's kind of... partially a jealousy thing, right? Like, he just misses his mother, and I think she's probably a constant reminder to him that his mother is gone. And as it continues, we discover how much he really does care about her. I don't think he realizes how much he cares about her as things become real, and she gets in danger because she doesn't have this coat, which she has to have to survive.
And the other thing is, why does he have that pocket thing?
The pocket thing?
The pocket thing that attaches to the dog. I mean, why does he have to put it on his pocket?
I don't know.
I don't know why, like the whole thing about, attaching it to his sister so that it makes just more trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know
why. Well, he's
why
just trying to keep the dog and the sister close to him. Anyway, I don't know, Jason. That's kind of a minor thing you're latching on to there. But,
yeah.
But anyway, I am definitely feeling this movie.
Yep.
I encourage everybody to take a look at this. I'm really glad that Neil suggested it to us, because I would probably have never heard about this. And again, instant classic in my book. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Mm-hmm. And the last thing we have to deal with is just a movie we grabbed on a whim. This is the Sonic the Hedgehog anime from 1999. Well, as you pointed out, it's a full hour. It's almost movie length.
Movie. Still calling it movie.
This was a thing I did not know about. Was not familiar with this, and thought I would check it out. Like I said, it is an anime. It is kind of getting away from the standard Sonic the Hedgehog mythology, at least from the games. So all the iconography is there, but the backstory and how Robotnik works and stuff is a little bit different.
Yeah.
We make a really big deal out of Metal Sonic in this, and the whole third act is pretty much just a giant Mecha Sonic fight, or a Metal Sonic fight, which is really well animated. Like, the biggest compliment I can give this is it is mostly really well animated. There's some really cool action in this. We make a really big deal out of how cool we think Metal Sonic looks. So you made fun of it at the beginning, where over those opening credits, it just kept showing us like pieces of Metal Sonic, and you were like, "Yeah, we get it. It's Metal Sonic."
Well, it kept showing a piece of Metal Sonic, and then the whole thing of Metal Sonic, and then a piece of Metal Sonic, and then another piece of Metal Sonic, and then the whole thing of Metal Sonic. Okay, it's Metal Sonic, we get it. Stop showing the same thing.
So the main story with this is that Robotnik has been thrown out, allegedly, of his city by Metal Robotnik, who looks nothing like who looks nothing like Robotnik.
Yeah.
Metal Sonic looks like Sonic, but Metal Robotnik looks nothing like Metal Robotnik. And so Metal Robotnik rather, has kidnapped the president, who's dressed like King, or just his daughter.
His daughter and the...
I forget now.
know.
But anyway, I I must say, I was not real invested in the story of this.
Yeah.
So Sonic goes on an adventure, of course, to rescue them. At the beginning, he is really kind of begrudging in his willingness to go help out, and Sonic seems kind of lazy, and he doesn't really want to do anything, and I find him whiny and kind of irritating. And, you know, we do that with Sonic some, where, like, he's too cool for school, and he, you know, doesn't want to do anything he absolutely has to, but sometimes it comes off as a little bit more endearing of an arrogance, and here he's just annoying. The voice doesn't help, certainly, the dub. Now, I should mention, of course, I don't know what this watch is like if you're just watching it subbed with the original Japanese voices. We just watched it with the American voices, and they are terrible.
Yeah, that was like the main thing I don't like about this movie. Is the voices, the dub. Yeah,
really irritating, and like a lot of the dialogue doesn't help. There's a lot of head-scratching dialogue where I'm like, I don't know why you're saying that. I don't know why we're watching this scene right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, but those two things together make for a deadly combination. I wish this had been a silent film. It was just the action. Like, just take the action in this movie, cut out all... It was basically like watching someone play a pretty cool Sonic game with irritating cutscenes. That's what this was like.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think I kind of know the most annoying person.
The owl guy?
Yeah!
With that weird nervous laugh he has?
Well, yeah, and his voice.
Yeah,
right?
Certainly. But, like, Tails sounds like somebody who's, like, holding their nose while they're talking, and Sonic sounds like a guy who can't decide if he's doing a Southern accent or an English accent. It's really strange.
Who does Knuckles sound like?
Knuckles is fine. Knuckles is the one voice I had no issue with whatsoever. He just sounds like a guy. Yeah.
And then what does Dr. Robotnik sound like?
Robotnik? He was okay. That's kind of a pretty standard Robotnik voice. It's not bad. I guess it's mostly just Sonic and Tails I'm complaining about.
Yeah. And then that owl guy who's like,
But yeah, it's pretty predictable. The big kind of twist ending with Robotnik is really what I thought it would be. It was pretty obvious, and the whole thing is again kind of just a cookie cutter video game type story. I realize it's based on a video game property, but if you're gonna call a thing a movie, you kind of expect maybe a little bit more depth to the storytelling. We pretend like there's more depth to it than there really is. Like by the end, well, what I was gonna say is it's a cookie cutter plot just for a big fight with Metal Sonic, and then we act like there is some humanity to Metal Sonic that we never get to see. And that's weird. So, I think it's really standard anime sensibilities by the end, which should have elevated it a little bit, I think, where we want to make this a science fiction story about how the robot guy really had a heart all along and was actually a sentient being and human, and not just sentient, but human. And it came out of left field. I never saw that. Like, I never saw that in him. You know, at the end, like, spoiler alert for this thing that came out 20 years ago that, you know, is probably hard to get your hands on, that I didn't even know about. But toward the end, Sonic has that kind of, like, Revenge of the Sith, you know, lava mountain moment where he's trying to save his evil counterpart. And I don't know why. And the movie is pretending like it did something that would make me feel for Metal Sonic and feel for Sonic in wanting to save him. And I don't. The idea is really just, we were given some exposition that said that he got all of the parts of Sonic, including his personality, and so Sonic, like, sees something in himself in it, but A, I don't see what Sonic sees, and B, I don't like Sonic either! So yeah, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, I'm saying if this movie was all about this Knuckles, I'd probably like it more. But yeah, the action was fun.
So, should we flip our signs?
Yeah, I'm not really feeling this one.
Me neither.
Not loving it. But for you, it's just the irritating voices?
Well, yeah. And, just... I love the animation. It's just...
So you agree with me on that?
Yeah, but just the whole... I love the whole Metal Sonic thing. It's just some parts of the story I've just... I don't know why they did this. Like...
And they have warp zones in a Sonic movie.
Yeah.
What everybody thanks so much for
I
watching.
wish they had Sonic Gates.
Sonic Gates. Okay. Folks, thanks for watching. Sure appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of How We Felt About, and Eric and I will be with you again in 3 weeks. If there's something that you would like to see Eric and I or one of us talk about on the Omnibus, you can send me an email to the email address in the description, and I will consider it with a donation. We are, I think right now, full for the regular donations, but I will take a singular one if you just want to do one movie, or a comic, or a video game, or whatever it is that you would like us to take a look at, and we do that with $20 donations, so if you really want to do that, let me know. And in the meantime, thanks so much for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jason. I am feeling it for most of these movies.
Yep, you're pretty good.
And then not feeling it for one of these movies.
See you, folks.
Bye.